Hi, Veronica. Okay, we're going to start with the consent agenda. Yep.
Yeah, good morning. We have the Pierce Garage at, what's the address there? 570 Ronda Drive, and they had some landscape comments. If you can show the return with plant types, sizes, irrigation details, and the paver type. Okay, so let's see. Well, that's lighting. Um, Do we have an applicant on board online?
I didn't see an applicant online.
Okay, well, let's see if we may not need an applicant, the,
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to say that I went through the plans and I think the plantings. And I guess that we had on here as well to, oh, the irrigation was good too. The paver type on the materials board, I didn't see.
what page are you looking at?
Well, there you go. There's the planting.
Okay, all right, so everything is there?
See if we can find the pavers.
Um, it doesn't look like we have anybody from the applicant team here for Pierce Garage.
There you go on the, it's on the second sheet. It's the proposed permeable pavers. I think they're fine. It's a Belgard product. Prepared to say, get final.
Okay, all right, very good. Okay, so we're done with the consent calendar, and that's it. Okay, so waiting for another board member now to start the meeting, I guess. All right.
Okay, we'll begin it at 9 o'clock or when we have quorum. Thank you.
All right, we'll begin the July 19th SBAR hearing. And we will begin with any public comment not pertaining to items on today's agenda. Is there anyone in the audience?
We have nobody signed up for public comment and we have no letters submitted.
Are you an applicant or are you going to give public comment? Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, just want to make sure we got speaker slips if we need them. Okay, then we will move on to the agenda status report.
Agenda status report, item number 3, 24 BAR-00084. Bellsburg Stable has asked to be dropped from today's agenda.
And moving on to reviewing the minutes from July 12th. We'll do the same as we did last time where if anyone had any specific comments, we'll move through quickly.
Yeah, I wasn't there, so you might not have quorum.
Oh, okay, we will wait to see when we'll have a quorum. Okay, we'll revisit that and moving on to SBAR members' informational briefings. Anyone have anything?
I'm gonna be away on the 9th. We're going to Dead and Company at the Sphere.
The 9th. I think.
Of August? Okay, let me just,
Also gone.
oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll be in.
That was a borderline one for me, so I guess I'll be here. Okay,
So the next meeting is what, the first?
the 9th. So we have a couple weeks off because these
Right,
were,
right, right. And then it's the first of this, of
it's the 23rd.
the 23rd, okay.
Okay, and moving on to staff update.
Hi, this is Willow. Joe's out this week. He's on vacation, so I'm filling in, but there's no update.
Okay, thanks, Willow. Can you hear us pretty good this week?
Yes, I can.
Yay. All right. We will move on to the consent agenda. We had one item, the
Yes.
Pierce Garage.
Yes, it was mainly a landscape item. Would you like to make a motion? Yeah.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to give it final approval. They
Se-
all the comments we had made.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Right, motion carries, and we'll move on to the first item on today's agenda. Yeah, we can go back. I know. Okay. We will wait until hopefully John, well, and Josh will be here at 9:45, so we can just do it at that. Okay, we can do that.
And actually, John's.
You
right
walking
now.
in?
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw him driving in.
Let's just review them really quick. I don't,
Actually, item C2 from the July 12th. Says applicant to provide updated landscape plan and submit to SBAR chair. I think that was going to go to me because I
Yeah.
think you knew what was happening. So, so to submit to member Gilliland for clearance prior to issuance.
Willow, can you hear Chris?
Yeah, sorry, could you repeat that one more time?
Yeah, so item C2, instead of submitting to SBAR chair, would be submitting to member Gilliland.
Okay.
That's it.
Any other comments on the minutes from last week? I know, we're just, everyone's just bringing their notes to it now.
Okay, I make the motion to approve the minutes as, as written.
I'll second.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay, John. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I recuse.
Quorum. All right, and now we will begin with item 1 on today's agenda. The Reardon parking modification request of Craig Minus, agent for the owner, Greg Reardon. It's here for conceptual review of a setback modification to allow for a 3.5 foot. I know I feel very loud. Of a 20-foot setback from the right of way and a 13.5 foot reduction of the 50-foot setback from the street center line. The new 16.5 foot setback from the right of way and 36.5 setback back from the street line will allow for the development of an ADU being processed under a separate CVP. Single family dwelling exists. The project will require no cut or fill. It's located at 6867 Trigo Road in the Isla Vista area, and it's a 0.15 acre parcel. And we'll look at the memo. It needs to receive preliminary approval by SBAR before going to the decision maker for the modification. It can return for final review if the modification is approved. That's it. All right. Is the applicant online?
Yeah, hi, this is Craig Minus, agent for owner. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, but it's,
Perfect.
you're a little quiet, so you might have to shout or turn up your audio.
Sure, absolutely. Well, good morning, SBAR. My name's Craig Minus, and I'm the local land use planner. Also on the Zoom with me is our drafter, Shava. And we also have our landscape architect, Ariana, who I think is in your audience.
Yes,
yes. Okay, well, let me just give you a quick overview. The project description and the agenda was very, very accurate. But the base, the premise for this project is to build an ADU, and the ADU is to convert an existing garage that is on site. The site currently has a single family dwelling of about 1,600 square feet and an attached garage of about 400 square feet. And the vision is to convert the garage entirely and to increase the size of that ADU to try to achieve an 800 square foot ADU. The County of Santa Barbara recently went through some ADU ordinance updates in association with the Coastal Commission. And in there, there's a target for an 800 square foot ADU target. And so that's what we're trying to get to. Now, given the configuration of this lot and the available room we have to achieve that 800 square feet, that's necessitating the setback modification. So what we're looking on screen, then thank you for putting that image on the screen. There's currently 2 setbacks that apply in the county. There's a setback from center line and a setback from right of way, 50 foot and 20 feet respectively. With our footprint, again, we'll encroach into each of those. And given the guidance of our planner, Kevin, he's asked us to identify the percentage that we're encroaching and the square footage, and has identified that the code allows for those encroachments subject to your approval.
Okay, if you can go ahead and show us, I know that we can't review the ADU, but if you can show us the rest of the site work that you wrote.
Sure, absolutely. And you're in control, right? Yeah, so we can just flip through this generally, but that's the existing the vision, if you pause there, the vision is to grow that the existing garage towards the street, hence, our need to get into the setback. And then we're also required to provide the replacement parking as part of the ADU code. And so the vision is that the ADU parking would then go on the other side of the front yard. And in total, we plan on having quite a extensive redesign to the front yard. I think it's probably best captured in the landscape plan, which I think is the last sheet. Yeah, so this is the best vision of that. You can see the gray area is the existing single family, which there will be no change to. The whitish box to the right there is the proposed ADU. And again, we've tried to target that 800 square foot that's in the ordinance now as in some cases by right. And so the remainder of the front yard gets an entire revamp, which would include moving the parking to the left side of the parcel, and that's where the 2 replacement parking spots would be. The entire front yard would be enhanced with better permeable hardscape, a number of plants and shrubs and landscape features to enhance the frontage.
Okay, thank you. Was there a context map to see the other, like, adjacent properties? There we go.
Yeah.
Maybe we zoom in on that just because
Yeah, maybe.
we're gonna have to make a finding on
Sure.
encroachment, so.
Yeah, and we've studied this as well. That there, if you look at the context of the street, there are a number of other structures that are within the setback. And again, I think most of these structures were built some time ago. So most of them are probably legal non-conforming. But with respect to context, I do think our proposal will be consistent with what's happening along the street.
Thank you. We'll move on. What was that? I have it in front of me right now. I mean, that's pretty much the Google Earth image. Okay, we'll move back to comments or questions from the board. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. If you can go back to the site plan that we were looking at a minute ago. It seems there is a lot of paving. It's the question comment. Is that the minimum amount of paving you need for parking or what? It looks like it's more than paving for 2 cars.
Greg,
Yeah,
are you able
I
to
think-
hear it?
Yeah, I'm pausing because I'm hopeful that Ariana's in the
Yeah.
Oh,
audience.
you can
there.
you can come up to the mic up here.
Okay.
She's walking forward.
Perfect, thank you.
I guess the
Make sure the button is green.
I guess the question is, what's the width of all that paving from the walkway to the whatever it's called on the left? I cannot see it. If you can enlarge it,
Oh, walkway.
can you enlarge that, please? Yeah, that area. Keep going. Keep going. It says rock. Yeah, it's all. I mean, there's no landscape between the white part to the other where it says ground cover. What's that width? It looks like.
So if I can address that,
Yeah.
the parking space is wide enough for 2 cars with the doors open and getting around it, right? And the apron, right? So that pretty much takes up the side. It pretty much replaces the garage, right? But then there's additional paving on the other side, which is a patio for the occupants of the ADU.
But this place right here, from the yellow thing by utility pole to the new drain line, I mean, what is the distance there?
What is the distance?
Where it says rock mulch in all beds.
Well, I think if you go to the top of that you can see there's a
Bottom.
19.8 measurement,
Oh,
and I think that's intending to be the driveway. So if you slide up a little bit on this sheet,
Yes, it's like 20 plus probably 4, or they said 3 foot 8 inch sidewalk.
yeah. So look, see the 19.8. That's supposed to serve as the driveway effectively, which would be consistent with 2 comfortable parking spots, approximately 10 feet each wide, and allowing for door openings.
Then there's also a sidewalk that goes to the entrance of the existing residence.
Mhm.
And that is between the parking spaces and where it says ground cover. You have to go on that sidewalk to get to the front door.
Okay, thank you.
But it looks like more concrete, and that's why I've segmented with the rock mulch in between.
the question then, is that sidewalk the same material as the driveway?
Yes.
Have you considered using something else to differentiate
Um,
between the two, so it doesn't look like it's all just driveway?
We can vary the color, but I think concrete's probably the best use for a student occupied dwelling.
Questions from the board? Okay, we'll move on to public comment. Is there anyone online or in the audience? Just to speak on this item?
We have received no requests to speak for this item.
Okay, we'll close public comment and come back to comments from the board. We'll start with Alex.
I don't have a problem with the modification. It seems like it needs more green stuff, more hedge, more landscaping. I'm afraid it's going to be 3 cars in there instead of 2, or maybe 4 in that front yard. That's the part that I'm not convinced that it's vaguely designed. It seems like that's why I was asking: is it 25 feet altogether? Is it 30? And then anyway, I'm okay with the modification. I just want to see less paving and more landscape.
John?
Oh, I can't support this. This business of parking in the front setback is, I'd like to discourage that. In this particular project, the entire front yard is developed, and I think it just degrades the neighborhood. So I have a negative feeling about it.
I would support the modification. I think that the cars in the front have merely moved from the right side to the left side. There's already cars parked in the existing driveway. So I think that I'm fine with the approach, but would like to see it get lifted up with better landscaping. And I think the idea of changing color or even finish on the concrete between the sidewalk and the driveway would help. Some more landscape along the left side, that doesn't seem developed. So I think the patio in front can be a nice space and will actually be perhaps more used than the existing front yard probably is. So keep going with that and just turn it into something that's better with the parking flip to the other side. Anyway.
Thank you.
Yeah, I could support the modification also, but with a couple caveats. One is, I think, yeah, all the pedestrian areas should be a different, at least color, than the driveway. Yeah, exactly. It could be an aggregate or stamped or somehow differentiated so that it's obvious. And also, I think the patio out front is too large. It just adds to the amount of paving in the front. And then that little sidewalk on the bottom right seems unnecessary, and that could be additional planting. There could be a little sneak through from the main sidewalk over to that concrete patio, but the additional walkway over there, I understand the reasoning behind it
Can I address that?
in a second. Yeah. But otherwise, I think I think it's doable. One of the other considerations was, do you move that main sidewalk over and kind of center it in a planter so that you create some separation between the driveway and the walkway, but then you kind of end up with two smaller planters and it's going to get trampled as people are walking through. So there's, I don't know, it'd be nice to have a little shape to that thing. Everything's so square. But anyway, yeah, reduce the size of the concrete patio. And I'd like to hear what your thoughts are on that walkway.
The walkway in the front takes you from the street and does an L to the courtyard. But it also continues a sidewalk that goes along the side of the building to the back, and that is where they have their trash cans. So they have to have access to the street to put the trash cans out. So that sidewalk is necessary there.
Mhm.
But it's easy enough to shrink the size of the patio.
Okay.
And the other problem I thought of is when you are in Isla Vista and you see how the students live and how they are unlikely to take care of any plantings that are put close to their cars. That was part of the reason for having the sidewalk to the front door be adjacent to the parking area.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah. But I definitely think that a change in color or texture or,
Yeah.
or some other form to differentiate between pedestrian and vehicular would be helpful.
No problem.
Thank you.
I agree with the comments on changing up the color or finish of the material between the driveway and the sidewalk, and reducing the patio space in the front. Trying to think if there was a way to potentially have some kind of like a planter, like a raised planter or something between the sidewalk that comes into the middle of the property and the parking area, because I think it's a valid concern that somebody's just gonna try to wedge 3 cars into there, so. Is the driveway as tightly located on the property line to the left as it possibly could be? I mean, is there any adjustment in there to get a little bit of space between that sidewalk and the driveway? Or the main entry into the house?
I think when people are getting out of their cars, they're just going to walk right onto that sidewalk. So any type of planter separating the parking and the sidewalk is probably not going to do well. I mean, we could have rock mulch in there, but that is a less stable footing. And I think it's safer to have concrete all the way when you're getting out of your cars. And part of the reason for having the patio be larger on that, the ADU side, was because students live in their front yards when it's nice. So trying to give them enough space to actually hang out, which is what they're going to try to do anyway.
Well, maybe that would benefit from some shape shifting then.
The other thing is that patio is so close to the road, I almost think in like 5 years, somebody's just gonna put gravel in there and park their car right in there, so. It's just
No problem, we can shrink it.
I agree with the previous comments about material change and just taking a look at that patio. It might be that it looks like the property right now has some fencing in the front yard, so maybe it's fencing that area to protect it from people cutting the corner and going through all the plantings and keeping it from becoming a parking space. To the comment about parking in the setback, I'm looking at the neighborhood and it looks like with longer driveways, they just end up double stacked. So it's almost, no matter what, people are ending up parking in the setback. So I understand the concern, but I think a longer driveway will probably just end up with more cars. So I don't have any additional comments. This is here for conceptual review, so you'll have to return one more time for preliminary review before going to the decision maker. But
Understood.
Yeah.
Thank you.
yeah, you generally have one that can't support the modification, and should we take a straw vote just so that they can?
Sounded like everybody else was okay with it as
Yeah,
long as
so-
some maneuvering is.
Five
takes
in
place.
general,
Yeah, we
five
can
general
work on-
positive comments.
Yeah, we'll
that-
work on these sheets with those comments and get something resubmitted for
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you for the time. Appreciate it.
All right, moving on to item 2, PLSB LLC, new residence and accessory structures. The request of Paul Rubison and Mark Lloyd, agents for PLSB LLC. Here for final review of a new residence of approximately 5,282 square feet, detached garage of 760, storage and cabana, guest house above the cabana, and greenhouse. The following structures currently exist on the parcel: a residence, garage, workshop, greenhouse, and multiple accessory structures totaling 8,375 square feet. The proposed project will require 1,200 cubic yards of cut and 3,000 fill. The property is a 2.02 acre parcel located at 3393 Padaro Lane in the Carpinteria area. Would you like me to read the comments, or would you want to go through one by one? And we'll read the memo.
Well, you can read them, sure.
Okay, we'll look at the memo first. You want to scroll? Okay. There's nothing above. Per the direction of our board, back in June 2023, the following changes have been made. The height of the cupola has decreased from 8 feet to 5 feet. Max height is now 33 feet above existing grade in total. The service entrance has moved 25.5 feet west, further from the neighboring property line. Permeable paving is now proposed for the driveway, and light restriction notes are included for the cupola. I believe that's it. The rest is just the description. So, and I'll move on to reading the comments. The architectural style is appropriate. Most board members appreciate the efforts made to respond to prior comments and are supportive of the project. Most members believe that the project continues to be too tall given the exposure of the residents from the beach. Return with light details for the cupola with direct reference that prevents uplighting or lantern effect. All exterior lighting shall be dark sky compliant and documented on the plans. Return with hardscape plan that incorporates permeable paving, preferably cobblestones at the entry to lessen impact on existing eucalyptus trees. Applicant to return with landscape plan that includes alternate hedge options along property boundary. Landscape plan shall also minimize the amount of water-thirsty non-native plants. Okay, you can go ahead and give us your presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name's Mark Lloyd of LMP Consultants, representing the project along with Paul Rubinson of Appleton Partners. We are returning to you for final approval. We had a zoning administrator hearing on June 12th, at which the project was approved, along with your recommendations of approvals that you had in your preliminary SBAR approval. And we're here to make our presentation for final approval.
Thank you.
I'll turn it over to Paul for the details on that.
All right, so we'll focus on addressing the comments from our last hearing. One item that we wanted to cover that was discussed during the last hearing is the location of the secondary entrance. It's on the lower right-hand corner of the screen. There was a neighbor comment that was presented about the proximity to the property line. We actually had developed a scheme that was coming kind of straight in towards, along the property line. But based on feedback we received during that hearing, we actually went back on site with our biologists and studied this further. And we found a way to move the gate and that entrance further from the property line, as you can see here, in a way that wouldn't impact the trees, that would maintain the windbreak of the tree canopies. And we also integrated a articulated blanket that would go underneath that drive to protect the roots of the trees as you drive onto the property. So this was something that we just did because we felt like it was the right thing for the project and with our relationship with the neighbor. Jonathan, if you don't mind going forward a couple of pages to page 6, actually shows our, that was the civil drawing. So this one right here actually shows that we are going to have a gravel drive coming into the property. We did a stone apron across the front along Park Lane so that the gravel is locked in at that point. But then we actually have a note there at that service drive that does state that
there will be an articulated blanket that would protect the root structure in that area. Moving forward, we can actually go through the next couple of sheets. I think we'll, focus on the sheets here. This is actually updates to the gate design, very similar to what we presented last time, but with the movement of the service gate, which is shown on the left side, we're actually able to have two full piers on either side of the gates. We can move forward, and we're actually going to go to the next page. That I was just going to point out, this is the crawl space. We've been working with flood control to develop the flood vent openings and calculations, placement, et cetera. So this has been refined since the last time we met, but overall the design is in alignment with what we had presented at our previous hearing. We can move forward. So each floor plan, I think we can move through here unless anyone has additional questions or comments, but we've got the main building here. The next few pages are going to focus on the accessory building. There's further refinement of the plans, but it's still in alignment with what we had presented as far as the design intent. And then actually here on the main building elevations, we actually put a box around the note and we put it on each image of the cupola. And this was based on direct feedback during the hearing where we stated the cupola shall follow dark sky compliance guidelines. No light fixture shall be hung in the cupola at the level of the window. No uplight fixtures shall be installed within the cupola. And that's addressing the comments from the board to make sure that we don't have a lantern effect at that location. And you'll see that actually on the next page. We just went ahead and everywhere that we showed the cupola, we included the same notes, so it was covered. All right. And then the next couple pages have exterior elevations for the accessory building, followed by building sections. And then the next series of sheets do have building details, so we can just flip through one page at a time, moving through the set. Yeah, this is our greenhouse, which is as it was presented previously. Building sections. And then, Jonathan, I think we can just go step by step all the way to the landscape set. There we are. So based on the feedback we received from the board, we have actually changed the hedge material along the property lines. We are now specifying a pink Melaleuca hedge. And then in addition to that, we have actually modified our planting plan to reduce the water use on the property. We've further reduced the size of the lawn. The new hedge is a lower water usage hedge material. And then we also made an adjustment to drastically reduce the number of camellias that we show on the property, keeping a limited number only at the entry.
You have a plant list, like a legend too.
Yeah, the very next page is a schedule of those plants.
Can we zoom in on that, Jonathan?
And we also have a hydrozone plan for the property.
You can zoom back out. Thanks, Jonathan. Just make sure the water calcs are all on there. Go down a little bit. There's one calc that Robert and I are all trying to see. All right. Does that conclude your presentation?
It does.
Okay, we'll come back to questions from the board.
Question. Can you go back to the landscape plan? Yeah. On the driveways, you mentioned gravel on the
Yes.
driveways, but it looks like there's two different materials.
So what we've done actually is there is an existing gravel drive on the property.
Mhm.
And it was important to us to maintain a portion of that along the trees so that we're not disturbing any area that's not previously disturbed. So the speckle that you're seeing that's kind of the L shape is the existing portion of the drive that is going to be remaining. And then what we're doing is we're expanding that for the placement of the accessory building, the gates, and then the new entrance on the, it's the east side of the property, but it's the lower side of the sheet.
Right,
Yep.
right. So along the east side, that's new gravel
That's correct.
coexist with the existing gravel.
Yeah, it's going to be the same material all the way over there, but what we wanted to make sure that was very clear to, the board, planning department, building department, and for our contractors is that that portion of the drive is to remain as is.
Right, okay. And this is a question a little bit for the board. Even though gravel's great,
Mhm.
it's actually noisy next to the neighbor. Is that of interest to anybody? I mean, I don't know how active this side, it probably will be pretty active. It's where the main parking is.
Interesting thought.
Yeah, I mean, I love gravel.
Yeah.
As a driveway material, and it's kind of rural and it has a certain sound, but it is right next to the guy's house.
Approved tip seal though, I think.
Well, you know what's not loud is shale. It's
Mhm.
not like those gravels.
Madam Chair, as a follow-up on that, I think most of the criteria that is applicable is, will any noise from the property be emanating over 65 dBs? And I don't think the gravel would do that. I'm not saying that isn't good neighborly to keep noises down, but I don't think there are other elements on the property that probably put out more noise than the gravel will.
Yeah, no, it's just an observation of its proximity.
We would be open to a material suggestion if shale is a little bigger and a little less contact area between material. Maybe it's a larger gravel, maybe it's a soft,
It's,
shale is a softer material. It'll probably end up getting crunched smaller. So rock is probably harder and keep that size.
Basically what they use up at Hollister Ranch on the
Mhm.
roads.
Mhm.
And it's,
Has more clay in it, so it compacts down instead of
Yeah.
running loose. But
but it works well. I use it a lot, actually.
Mm.
Anyway, consider.
Thank you.
I had a question. I know this has been going on for a while. So do you have a list or a plan showing trees to be removed?
Yes, so actually, if you go to the previous page, let's see, it's one of these, keep on going back a little bit, along with, oh, I'm sorry, we're at the landscape. It's at the very beginning. It's like on, page 3 or something like that. One more down, keep on going down. Page like 4, there we go. Okay, so at the very top of this sheet, there's the color coded. Keep on looking up at the very top of the sheet. There you go. So from left to right, we have on the far left, the existing conditions. We have actually worked with our biologists to identify and number every tree on the property. So on the next one over in the red, we show every structure and tree that's going to be removed. Some of those were on recommendation of our arborist. The patch in the middle is actually just a little orchard that we're going to replace with planting that's more in alignment with the needs of the butterflies. And then the next one over, the purple diagram, shows trees that are going to be relocated on the property. And the far right shows new trees and the location of the relocated trees.
Madam Chair, honorable board members, you may recall that there was a butterfly aggregation on this property. These plans are from a package that is a full habitat enhancement plan. Every tree has been relocated, tagged, documented, and the restoration plan has strict criteria as to the treatment and removal of trees. And any trees that are proposed for removal have been reviewed by the biologists for its consistency with the habitat restoration.
Uh,
Most involved tree plan I've ever been involved.
We also have a table on the bottom left-hand corner of this sheet that actually has detailed information and again, identifies trees to be removed, trees to be relocated, and new trees added.
That answers my question. Thanks.
Any other questions?
Did did the butterflies come back?
Yeah. Um,
Our aggregation was the largest in the Western Hemisphere last year.
Well,
Yeah.
there you
And,
go.
and the Xerces Society, which is a nationwide, monarch butterfly protection entity, well-known. We actually had them peer review our plan and they gave us 5 stars on it. So
it's
It's-
also the only.
we're quite proud of the legacy,
See,
yeah,
it's
making lemonade out of
visible.
lemons,
Butterfly experts.
Oh, yeah.
unfortunately.
I know a lot more about butterflies than I used to. And we actually, when we submitted our environmental report, it also went to the Coastal Commission. And it's one of the few times I've seen a letter come from them in favor of a project. They actually praised the work that we did here.
With no comments or revisions.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So the planting plan that's proposed was developed to support butterflies?
That's correct. So they spend the winter here. So it was important to have certain like nectars that support them, but it can't have significant food sources because what's important for the survival of the species is that after they spend the winter here, they don't eat a lot on the property and then they actually reproduce and then they have to go out looking for food and lay their eggs over a larger area. So if something happens, like there's, a frost or something like that, you don't lose the entire new generation. So it was important not only to find the foods that they use during the winter, but their food source that they look for could not be on the property. It has to be out in the community.
So you're not trying to keep the butterflies?
We're not trying to keep them. We want them. It's interesting at a certain point in the year, the females go out and then the males hang out by the beach. Yeah.
We basically created a butterfly bordello.
We've been on site when they are actually actively reproducing. It's interesting. So,
Now it sounds like you need a planting plan for all of Carpinteria,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. We're just gonna run out and just drop seeds.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from the board?
I had a question unrelated to the butterflies too. Um,
By all means. Yeah.
So is the service gate or the service entry now kind of like the official entry into the property? Because it kind of reflects out with the.
Well, so there's different uses, so the long-term, parking of cars, et cetera, is going to go into the garage, it's in support of the main house, but there is use of the outdoor parking spaces. I mean, it's Santa Barbara, outdoor parking is great. It's a good proximity. One of the driving forces of creating that second entry was to continue a, complete loop on the property. But also when the butterflies are there, both during construction and for occupancy of the house long term, you can actually go in and out without going through their habitat area that's, the concentrated area that's closer to the garage. You can actually bypass that on the east side of the property.
How much space is there between the property line and the driveway and the parking area there? That's kind of
believe-
constrained,
was it-
right?
I believe it's 6 feet to the edge of the gravel, and then you have a 16-foot drive width before you get to the parking spaces.
You got like an 8-foot high fence right there I see on the plan.
Pardon me, I didn't hear you.
There's an 8-foot high fence along the property line there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
And
I-
It's
feet at the front yard setback.
it is a combination of a basically 2-foot concrete retaining wall and then a 6-foot wood fence on top that'll be planted out.
And then the entry gate, can we maybe look at the entry gates? What sheet is that on?
Oh, you're looking for the elevation, is that, or?
Yeah, the elevation of the
Yeah,
entry.
that one was on page, let me see. Page 8.
I think it's nice how you set the entry gates back a little bit.
Yeah, it is also important for proximity to the trees.
Just wondering if the 8-foot high gate is kind of tall, but I'll leave that to the other members.
Yeah, the Darrell Lane's not the widest street, so we want to make sure the tail ends of the cars got fully into the driveway.
Oh, how far into the site are those gates? Isn't
I believe they're 30.
30?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
And the fire department has,
Yeah.
Yeah,
all
that's
that.
that's also in alignment with their guidelines.
Yeah.
correct.
Okay. Yep. I thought it was 35, but whatever. Yeah.
All right, any other questions? Move on to public comment.
The 30 was from the property line, so there's right away before you get to the edge of the pavement.
Got it.
So there's additional stacking.
Is there anyone in the audience or online that would like to speak public comment on this item? Doesn't look like anyone
We have
online.
no attendees and we have nobody signed up for
Okay,
public comment.
all right, we'll close public comment and move on to comments from the board. Val, would you like to start?
I think all the many parts have come together. Looks good, and I'm glad that we have butterfly experts in our midst. Yeah, I think you could consider that thought of maybe shale on the driveway. Just because I appreciate wanting to push it so that you're open space and you're dealing with the trees and everything, but that 6 foot feels pretty tight to the property line along the east. Now you lowered the cupola, right?
We
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
It
So
looks better.
yeah, yeah.
Yes, the house looks much better.
But that's correct. We did lower the cupola by about 3 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. So. Good.
Alex? Okay, John?
Well, I think it's through this long process, it's very successful and a very exhaustive amount of work by some very capable people.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Our clients are anxious to move forward.
We can imagine.
I'd like to see this one more time.
Oh.
No, I think there's a lot of good maneuvering happened. I really like moving that entrance in from the east, away from the property line. I wish our B comment had said that some members believe the project continues to be too tall. It should have said large, because I still think, I'm not gonna hold anything up, but I still like the original smaller home, but everything else looks great. So nice work.
Robert?
Yeah, I think your team has done a good job of responding to the complicated process involved, and the whole situation with butterflies is clearly a unique one that probably brought you guys into a whole world of study you never had done before. So that's pretty cool, and I think it'll result in you guys having a pretty neat property. I also think that that it's been an improvement to the way you oriented by having kind of the main circulation coming in along that property line and kind of using the service gate as the main entry. It seems to make more sense for the property, and good job with what you've done.
Thank you. Yeah.
I just wanted to say too, that when we did the site visit, I was really struck that that is one of the most spectacular properties in the county. And of all the years I've been doing this and all the many properties I've been on, there's nothing like this one. So, it was a lot more work to bring it up to where you're bringing it, but it's also kind of a privilege because it's a spectacular property. And by preserving this butterfly habitat and even enhancing it from where it was, you have given it a legacy that it deserved. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I agree. So would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion for final as submitted with the comments, but
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Board. I know that we did struggle from time to time on this project. I won't belabor that. It's as we all go through the balance between administrators and owners, and then we had competing policies that we're forced to make one group happy and another one's not. Size, we understand that your contention with that. And as you said, this is a great property, a legacy property. It's also the largest property on Padero Lane, and we did supply sufficient proof to the zoning administrator of our compatibility with FARs that don't approve. But again, my point of my comment here is to thank you. As always, these processes lead to a better project. No doubt that that happened here. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Yeah, thank you guys. Moving on to item 3 was dropped, so we'll move on to item 4. Yes. At the request of Valley Frosher, architect for Ina Coleman, here for conceptual review. And you know what, there was I'm just gonna read the planner memo on this because the planner memo says that the description on here is inaccurate. So because it's not requesting a modification anymore. Yeah. Okay, is it in the, I wasn't sure if it made it to the agenda or if I should just read the memo. Oh, you did? Okay. All right. It's here for conceptual review of a 164 square foot second floor addition with a 55 square foot balcony, along with existing exterior alterations consisting of new Juliet balconies, new doors within existing window openings. No grading is proposed, no trees are proposed to be removed. The parcel will continue to be served by the Carp Valley Water District and the Sanitary District and the Carp Summerlin Fire Protection District. Access will be provided off Avenue Del Mar. The property is a 0.13 acre parcel located at 4581 Avenue Del Mar. And go ahead and state your name and give us your presentation.
You ready? Steve Fort with SEPS Land Use Consulting. I am stepping in as agent today. Like you said, it is a master bath remodel and a small addition for the master bath. You hit on the updated project description, 164 square feet, new 55 square foot balcony. I do want to touch on that there is no modification proposed. I think maybe when you saw this before, and there's been some back and forth with the planner and the neighbors and the HOA, but the project has been revised so that there is no side setback modification requested. The existing house is 2 foot 8 inches off the west property line. This addition maintains a 5 foot side yard setback as required. The neighbors are okay. The HOA is okay. They've kind of checked the boxes on their HOA approval forms. The height meets the county height requirements and the HOA height requirements. All the materials are proposed to match existing that shiplap siding with the same color. The windows that are proposed are high, high in the bathroom addition for privacy. There's a proposed floor plan at the bottom right of A1.0, if you would like to see the floor plan. It does have a slight step up into the addition because there apparently are some extremely low plate heights below it. So they did want to step up in order to maintain the plate heights that are below it in the bedrooms below. Landscaping on L1.0, which might be a separate file, maybe. I'm sorry, A2.0 also has the proposed north elevation that I think it's the top right shows the proposed north elevation you'd see from the street. You can see how it relates to the neighbors there and the little setback that we've proposed. Also, there isn't a lot of room for landscaping, but they are planning on putting I think it's giant honeysuckle vine and train that up the side of it and along a trellis that'll run along the side of the small addition. Oh, there it is, right there on the bottom right. I think that's all I wanted to get across to you guys. I'll let you guys comment and ask questions, I guess.
Sounds good. We'll move on to questions from the board. Anybody have any questions?
I guess it's so minor. If, would we even review this if it hadn't gone through the process of the modification and?
I think you would just because of the exterior
Yeah, might be one of those like
remodel renovation.
air things, but anyway, it seems very minor, but that,
I think it still qualifies for SBAR
Yeah.
review since it's exterior.
we're
Yeah,
we're
this
here.
is its location, but
Okay, anyway,
we can make it expedited. once- Okay, any other questions? We'll move on to public comment. There's no letters in the box. No one here. Anyone online?
Nobody online?
Okay, we'll close public comment and move on to comments from the board. It's simple enough. Does anyone want to start?
It's a very simple and small addition, 164 square feet for the building, 55 square foot for the balcony. We just review an 8,400 square foot house, just to put it in perspective. So yeah, this is perfectly approvable.
So it's here for oh, sorry, go ahead, John.
Well, I was going to say that I appreciate in a beach house sense, it's an eclectic element and it adds to the beach aesthetic,
Mhm.
put it that way. So I think it's very well done.
Great. Comments down here?
No.
Okay, all right, well, I think this could get agendized for prelim and final on consent when you come back.
Sure, thanks.
Um,
That sounds good.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask.
Read your
Read my
mind. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, and our last item of the day, the Pfeiffer additions. Is the applicant online? We've been. Yeah, I mean, it's only been an hour, so.
doesn't
Um,
matter. They should be ready
yeah.
to go.
The dictatorship.
Well, let's,
Um. I'm just texting Josh. He's late anyway, so I'm just telling him not to come.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. They are not here. It's here for. I could text Michael and see who's.
Can we review the project? I haven't seen it online, at least just to look at it, so we're ready for comments when they come.
Text one of our.
Willow, would you be able to answer that?
Would I be able to what?
They're asking if they're able to review a project if the applicant is not here.
Oh, let me check on that. Give me like 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Text.
like that before.
Text someone who
Like,
works there. Don't know.
so that
It's
probably about 15. No, I don't think that's
We're just going to take a 5-minute recess.
that one. Alita, where is this anyway? Yeah.
Which number? It was continued, I believe. Huh? It was continued. 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 So,
This was,
I
this,
texted
oh, Michael.
Knowing where your office is, that you got here pretty quick. All right. Okay. No problem. All right, so we'll go ahead and read the project description. This is the Pfeiffer Additions request of DMHA architect for Matthew Pfeiffer, here for final approval of an interior and exterior renovation of approximately 2,577 square feet of the existing two-story residence, new two-story addition of approximately 1,103 square feet to the existing residence, new attached 3-car garage, new detached pool cabana, an attached gym, and a detached sauna, interior and exterior renovation of approximately 459 square feet to the existing barn. There is currently a residence of 2,577 square feet in a barn on the site. The project will require 400 cubic yards of cut and 400 fill. The property is a 1-acre parcel located at 4525 Via Maria in Goleta. Would you like me to read the previous comments? Okay. Is there a planner memo on this? Okay. The comments from the previous hearing were well-designed project with nice materials and fenestration, steady use of stone on exterior of fireplace, steady window fenestration on front elevation adjacent to front door to be better integrated with other improvements. On east elevation, consider extending roof line out beyond pillars. Study existing structure to integrate it better with the additions. Sorry, it's because I texted one of them. Just see if you can get here. You're right.
Good morning, Michael Stroh with DMHA Architecture. So my apologies for being late. So, okay, so we have developed our drawings through construction document level and are actually currently working our way through the building department. And so there aren't very many changes to the project from the last time you guys saw it and gave it preliminary approval. So I wanted to cover a few things that were important in terms of some of the things we've changed. We've added all the details. The landscaping plans are essentially 95% the same that you saw in last June. But I'd like to go to, if we could, page 11, which is the rendering page. Well, there it is right there, actually. So we have updated our renderings. One of the it doesn't really, well, it does show here. So one of the comments was to look at how the entry worked with the existing structure and then how that chimney integrated with that. And so we've actually added the travertine, the large format travertine, to the chimney structure at the entry. And so we feel that that's a nice sort of solid anchor between kind of the big mass of the new master wing and then the smaller mass of the gym wing down at the other end of the house. The other thing we did was we went back and we looked at all of our existing openings in these existing residents and made modifications to sort of the size and proportion of those openings. Again, we're not looking to take the entire existing residence down, but we did want to look at sort of how those windows and how those openings could work a little bit better, and kind of fit in a little bit better with what we're doing. And we feel that we've done that. There was a comment actually the last time about the fireplace at the end, which you can see on the lower right-hand corner. We've actually brought that further out, but we haven't broken the roof line. And one thing that doesn't show up in here, because we were working through whether or not we could do a ventless or how to vent it, was that in the center of that glass, and it shows up on our elevations, there's actually just a small aluminum shrouded flue that comes up and breaks that, but it doesn't break the roof line. The roof line is continuous, and that's a consistent detail around the entire project. So I'd like to go to A201 if you could. So scroll through. The floor plans haven't changed. So these are just all enlarged. Oh, sorry, back up. Yeah. So on our elevations now, and of course they read very flat versus, the fact that the building's angled. But so we've looked at all of our fenestration, where we have operable windows, where we have just small picture windows. One thing, there are three things in the plan that didn't quite get caught as it went out. One of which is that little set of French doors down there at the bottom on the ground floor. That's actually, there's not supposed to be any breakups in that door. It's supposed to be just clean. You can see on the lower elevation, you can see our little flue that runs through the storefront windows at the top. And then as you go down, can you go to the next sheet? So, and you can see it again there where it pops up in the center there, just out of that mass. And then we also had to add, and this is the second thing that didn't quite get resolved exactly. We had to add an egress window to that master bedroom, which actually we brought down the wood cladding where it wraps around, and to do that, but there's breakup shown in it. And I think it's just a Revit thing. It just came through that way. That window's not supposed to be broken up. It is an operable single hung window for egress. And then if we could if you could just scroll through the pages, we have all of our, the other elevations for the pool cabana and for the garage. None of these have changed. If you could continue, we have all of our building sections. Just keep going. Just keep scrolling through if you would. And just keep going. So, because we're going to go through wall sections and a bunch of other stuff. So we have all of our details. I'm happy to answer any questions about how our eaves are working and how any particular detail is working. If you could continue to scroll through. Large details. So go ahead, one more. Oh, it's out of order here. Can you go back actually? Oh, keep going. All right, keep going. So we have our various details. We have our eave details. All the fascia and everything is metal, and it's going to be a dark bronze anodized to match the window systems, which is it's Western aluminum. And then we have from a materiality standpoint, we have our other various details for corners and for our glass guardrail. That'll all be steel, and the steel will be painted the dark bronze to match. If you could keep going. And then, so we have the stone at the top right is just for the countertops where we have like the pass through from the kitchen. But we have the alabaster colored travertine, and that's the big stone sort of facing on the big master bedroom wing. And then we have the wood rain screen. This is the other mistake that got made. It says everywhere else in the drawings that this is the Canaletto walnut, which is actually the correct specification. That's what it says everywhere else. But on here, it didn't get updated. The picture got updated, but the text did not. And so we have to fix that because it is the dark walnut. It is not Western red cedar. So light fixtures, the Hinckley fixture on the left-hand side, those are at the front door in that big kind of tower mass. And then we have a typical sort of round, simple fixture, dark sky fixture that occurs at the doors throughout. We do have sort of a bronze patina at the two main doors to the house, the upper and the lower entries. The stucco will be the Benjamin Moore cloud white, and then the dark bronze will be the finish on the aluminum. Storefronts and windows and doors, as well as any of the exposed metal on the project. And that's called out elsewhere in our finish schedule. If you go to the next sheet. So this is our finish schedule for our material schedule for the project. And then if you could go to the next sheet. Oh, yeah, I can show that. Yeah. Go to page. We have hardscape and we have landscape plans, and so Rob's drawn. So you could go to page 4. So Rob's put together the full material schedule for the project, including all the different paving types. And then if you go, and that's on page, this is on pages 4 and 5. If you go to page 7, it's an overall site plan. Actually, a good plan to work off of. That's a demo plan. You can skip that. Here we go. So what we have is we have an asphalt driveway coming down from the private road. We have pavers, permeable pavers at the upper motor court. We have a concrete driveway coming down for fire department access. And then we have permeable pavers down at the bottom motor court area. The remainder of the site, we have a number of small, like 3-foot retaining walls that have sandstone cladding on them. And basically there's just a number of sort of small little hardscaped areas, which are just integral color concrete. Not much has changed at all since the last time you saw this. Just some refinements here and there. So if you could go to, we have all the construction details for all these various little pieces. You could go to the planting plan on page 16 of this. Can you go back one? There you go. So this will give you an idea. We do not have any trees being removed as part of this project. We do have the one big oak tree that's along the driveway there existing. We are retaining that and providing tree protection measures for that. We've reviewed it with the fire department, and they've said, aside from pruning, that it can stay, despite the fact that it doesn't necessarily meet all of their clearances exactly. And so beyond that, there's just some various trees throughout the site. We have the nice little patio at the barbecue area with the 4 kind of more ornamental trees, and basically everything just kind of cascades in these terraces down the entire site. It's a really nice site, actually. And then beyond that, we have you go to, and the legend is in the next few sheets, but we also have our landscape lighting plan. If you could go to page 23. Oh, there we go. So he's sprinkled some low, ground mounted low voltage lighting throughout the project with just, along the pathways, but minimized it pretty well. And then if you go to the next sheet, there are the various cut sheets for those for those light fixtures. And with that, I am happy to answer any questions you guys have about the project, and we are here for final, so.
We'll move on to questions from the board. Does anyone have any questions?
It's just one little question on that page. That light is pointing up. I mean,
Oh.
it brings bad luck, you know. when-
That one is,
Underwater.
that one is an underwater light. So,
Any other questions?
Yeah, real quick, the renderings in the architectural set, I think they're
yeah, it was all the way
Oh.
back at the beginning.
maybe actually towards the top. There you go. I guess upper left image, and I guess upper right too. Yeah. Was that wall always that tall? It's like 15 feet.
Yes, yes. Originally, so if you'll remember, originally we had covered that in vines, but we can't do that due to
Yeah.
high fire.
Right.
So what we did instead is we looked at, all right, well, underneath it's a garage. So there's not much we can do there, but we added those sort of horizontal slot windows integrated with the stone pattern just to try and break it up a little bit. It is a large wall, but it always has been that size. It actually hasn't moved at all.
I'm just looking at the planting plan to see what's proposed in there. It looks like a shoestring acacia in front of it. And what are those guys? See that? Well, guys, can you go to the planting plan real quick, please?
Is Rob on the call or? Is that
Yeah.
right there? Okay.
Go up one more sheet.
Double line there.
Oh, no, actually go down. Sorry, my mistake. It's a little bit confusing where the
Yeah,
line
right
is.
there. So at the very top of this page,
Hmm?
the larger tree is an acacia, which is good. I'm just wondering what those 5 medium-sized ones, and I'm not seeing it on the,
Looks like actually, it looks like those are, if I'm reading it right. Sorry, it's a little far away.
Oh, yeah, it does look like the citrus symbol.
right, but there's a double line around this in the plan, but not in the legend, or maybe it's just.
The
Looks
legend
good.
is hazier. Like, I think that's
Probably citrus, okay.
given that they're on a
And
little
these
gray.
guys are eucalyptus. Okay. All right. I think that, where are we in? Questions?
We were, yes.
Okay, that's all. Thanks.
Okay, all right. Any other questions? No, okay. We'll move on to public comment. There were no letters in the box. Do we have anyone online?
We do have one person online. If you have a public comment on this item, please raise your hand. Seeing none?
Okay, we'll close public comment and move on to comments from the board. Start with John.
Well, I think it's fine. Come a long way and it's all together and looks good.
Yeah, let's see. I agree. It's a well-designed, well-executed project. Is ready for approval.
I agree. I have nothing to add.
Yeah, it looks great. Yeah, it's a hell of an ambitious project for that area, but looks good. Nice design.
I really like the way that this site is used on this project. It's just makes for a lot of neat spaces, and architecture's great. Landscape design's great. I commend the whole team on a great project.
Good, I agree. So this is here for final. I know you have a few edits, but I don't think we need to see it again. You can just make sure you capture them. So mostly with the materiality, we don't care as much about the other stuff. So does anyone want to make a motion for final approval?
I'll make a motion. Final approval as submitted, no comments.
Okay, any second? Okay, Val, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you for running up here. All right, and that concludes our SBAR hearing of July 19th in record time.
Sorry, real quick. Are the July 12th minutes being reviewed next week
Right.
or the next meeting?
Thank you. We, 1, 2, 3, we do, no, who was not here? John was here last time. So I think we do have a quorum. So we already started to review them. Does anyone have any comments on the July 12th minutes?
Oh, sorry, there was one.
I've got the
and
one comment on C2.
Okay,
that was it.
that was
So
all I.
Three?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Do you have a second?
All those a second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay.
I know.